My new thing, fits in a clock, breaks in a car, pulls on my brain. Are you ready to see? This is my new thing. Are you ready to see? This thing is my new thing. Shyness will show, excitement will glow. I'm sharing this thing. That thing is my new thing.
Hey folks, it's comedian Dan Wilbur.
And comedian Zach Sims. And that's right, it's another episode of My New Thing, a podcast where people talk about what they're obsessed with.
Yeah, we're talking about the dirty secrets of getting into cooking.
A deep dive into the underbelly of Hollywood.
That's right. Yeah. It's a true crime podcast if you think that wasting your life is a crime.
Absolutely. And you know what our new thing is this week, Dan? What do they call it now? They don't call it iTunes anymore.
They call it Apple
Podcasts. That's right. Eat it, Dad.
Everyone who said we couldn't do it, even though they didn't even know we were doing it. They didn't ask or have an opinion.
Everybody said, oh, you're having a podcast? I didn't know. Well, it'll probably fail. So lick that up and send it to your mom. Because we're on the front page, and that means we got dozens of downloads. That's right.
It is important to point out, and I want you to know, if you're listening, thank you for downloading this podcast. If you could give it a rating, whatever you think is fair. Yeah, this is the call to action. You say it up top. So that people know, because maybe this is the first time people have ever heard our voices.
Sure.
And I gotta say, we're doing a bad job.
No, it's not going well.
Of introducing ourselves.
We've already flown too close to the sun.
Yep.
We didn't expect any
nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's the nerves of knowing that maybe someone's driving in their car right now who doesn't know us.
Well, it's like it's like making love to a beautiful person or doing comedy for more than 7 people. You're not used to it, and it's terrifying.
My heart's racing.
Yeah, either way, no matter what, you end up with something gross happening in your pants.
Well, on this podcast, we talk about that, and we talk to our guests about anything that they are obsessed with or currently doing with their lives. So today we're having Christian Finnegan, famously on Chappelle's Show and Are We There Yet? He's got a lot of specials, just a great comic. And we're talking about music, collaging, being an artist. But before we get to that, Zach, what are you obsessed with this week? That was the mess in the pants.
Yeah. That was the panic. I did have something, and I feel like I might have forgotten what it was.
Well, let me tell you what mine is.
Yeah.
And you can think about it. I had the week off last week. I went to see my family. So I was obsessed with hiding in a small closet where no one could find me. And my goal for the week was to do the New York Times crossword every day. And I don't know if you ever do the crossword, but do you do the crossword? You big crossword
No, I'm a
guy?
mini guy. I do the mini sometimes. I'm more of a connections. A sports. The Athletic does a sports connections. I do that.
Oh, that's cool.
And
because you're missing so many connections in your real life. You gotta get in there.
Absolutely.
Feel connected to these words.
Connect to something. Yep. Mm-hmm. All these guys' first name is Kyle. It's an example. Something.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So the New York Times crossword goes like this, for those who don't know. Monday, super easy. Takes about 10 minutes. Tuesday, slightly harder, but nothing to write home about. By Wednesday, there's a couple things you don't know, but context clues will lead you to finishing it in 20 minutes, maybe. By Thursday, I don't know enough French.
What are
I'm
words?
Not one of these people that knows things, and I'll see people that I'm jealous of because of their careers also posting that they solved the Sunday Times in like 10 minutes with no help. Well, and I gotta say, don't post that. Don't post that.
A, do you know that's true? And B, what is going on in your life that you need to post that? What is your sickness that you... Oh, everybody, please tell me what a good little boy I am, because I can do the Sunday crossword puzzle. Oh, is this hard? Yeah, that's my least favorite person.
What I'm trying
that's
to say
not my least favorite. I mean, like, bigots and Nazis are my least favorite, but you know.
it's a nice way to say I did better on my SATs than you did, or my ACTs, because it really is just about knowing more things, not about necessarily being smarter. Yeah. But I am jealous. And, just speaking of posting things, just out of left field, the thing that just happened was I posted what I watched this month, and people started DMing me that I'm also not very smart based on that. So
now what's the? And I'm just asking, why did you do that?
Why did I post what I watched?
Yeah.
I just keep a list, and I thought it was funny to see what happens to my brain in July, because January. Just like a crossword, I start really difficult. I'm watching a lot of movies with subtitles, and then as I've talked to you about, been watching the Bond movies, and I was like, this is funny. I only watched like testosterone-driven films, all the Die Hards, all the Lethal Weapons, because I was listening to rewatchables, and I got, my pituitary gland kicked in, and now I'm going through puberty, and I'm having a great time with it. So I thought it'd be funny to post, hey, dudes rock, look at this list. Because I keep a list. I keep a list to remember what I watch, because I'm at an age where I can't remember if I liked anything for the last 3 weeks. So I have to go to Goodreads, and I have to go look at my notes app to just say, maybe I did enjoy something, and I could look back on that.
Sure, to remind yourself,
I'm hating the world.
Yeah, to remind yourself that happiness is possible.
Yes, so that was 5 obsessions for you. You're welcome.
Absolutely. My obsession is old men giving Hall of Fame induction speeches. It was the Baseball Hall of Fame this week, and it's really the only time you can see a gathering of toxic men with terrible opinions weeping openly as other toxic people stand and applaud them. It's nice. Yeah. There was a player, this guy, Billy Wagner, who was a relief pitcher. Now I'm at an age, by the way, too, where like people that I watch their careers almost fully are now getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that is like, there's like a getting older thing there. But this pitcher, this guy, Billy Wagner, who pitched for a variety of teams, and he was talking about his teammates, and he was like, I loved Lance Berkman, who's a guy I remember as a kid watching and enjoying, and he was like, Lance, I loved you. You were such an open-minded guy. Now, a fun fact about Lance Berkman is he did radio ads in Houston about trans bathrooms. And about like you weren't gonna walk in there. No, you're gonna walk in there and have some lady, fingering herself. You think that's good for your little son to walk in and see that? So I just feel like maybe he's not as open-minded as Billy said, but he probably was cool. Toxic. He was probably cool if somebody wanted to play, Trace Atkins in the locker room. He was like, I'm open-minded. It can be Trace Atkins. It can be Garth Brooks. It could even be Kenny Chesney. I'm a very open-minded guy. I think that's probably what he was talking about. Now, was that what I initially wanted my obsession to be? No, but I forgot it. And that's the only thing that could be in my head. Now,
when I'm in a bathroom, at least with athletes, I don't like seeing naked men either.
Well, sure, of course.
I don't need any naked men. Why don't you put on a towel, you old
I will
man?
say I guess maybe at a gym, but I feel like generally I'm rarely walking into a public bathroom and seeing somebody stripped to the ankles.
I've got some stories.
And walking around. I always look straight ahead at the urinal. I do think it's criminal that we still, in 2025, have urinals without dividers. In between them from time to time. What are we doing? What is the game? Yeah, absolutely. What are we trying to prove, with that? I also don't like troughs. You'll still get a trough from time to time. I feel like women aren't aware of troughs.
This is the Venn diagram of sports and pee troughs. Is that Cleveland Municipal Stadium, before they built the new one, used to have the trough, and it was the Browns and the Guardians used to play there. And I was so pee shy when I was a kid because I was at dick level when I stood next to a man.
Absolutely.
So I'd be like, Dad, I have to pee. And then I wouldn't pee because I was like, I just can't be around all these dicks.
Sure.
And then I walked out and I was like, I have to pee again, Dad. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You almost nowhere time in life do you want to be eyed a dick. It's very rare.
No.
There's only specific instances where you want that to happen,
Right.
but certainly not as a little boy at the urinal. How do you feel? And I don't care. I don't mean this because I know that can be political, and I don't mean this politically. But how do you feel when dad brings their 6-year-old daughter into the men's room? I
was just thinking about this. That I went to the Met, and the Met is so busy that they had individual stalls, and someone was perpetually cleaning them. So you had a janitor, doesn't matter what gender,
Sure.
either, in each bathroom. And then individual stalls so that the families could go in, but you were peeing next to 3 or 4 families. And you know what? We did it without incident. And I was yeah, this is a normal.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's because in the same way that New York City is safe in a lot of ways because there's constantly people around, is that if I'm peeing in a bathroom, I'm not worried about being attacked by anybody. If there's like 60 people in there and we all have privacy, I really don't care. But if there isn't that privacy, I also don't care. So it's just not it's fodder for stand-up. I know Bargatze did it, I think, about which bathroom do you choose.
I feel worse for the little girl just because I feel like that's life is coming at her fast.
Yes,
that's
terrible.
Dongers are slinging left and right, but just it smells bad probably. There's a lot of grunting going on, a lot of sounds you don't want to hear.
You don't want to be in an airport men's bathroom. That's
never
a bad place.
One time I was flying back from Vegas and I didn't get the chance to brush my teeth before we left to the airport. So I was doing it in the airport bathroom, which I think is rude, and I know that. So my thing is I'm just not going to look at anybody. I'm just going to do this, and we'll do it as fast as possible. And I was brushing my teeth, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, Is that a quip? Ask about the toothbrush. He goes, well, you have a quip? And I was like, yeah, it's a quip. And he was like, I love them. I love quip. Like we were going to have I didn't know what he wanted from me. It was just like one of those, am I going to stop this just to chat about your enjoyment of quip? By the way, I got quip shamed by my dentist and I switched to a Sonicare.
What? Because they don't work?
I said I use a quip, and they were like, "That is disgusting," and I kind of want you to leave. It was in the West Village. It's like we only use Sonicare minimum. That's what we allow.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
they should be. There should be hipster dentists. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the dentist.
That's so 2005.
That's the dentist. I tried to do a joke about this once, but it was just he. Last time I was there, his hair was kind of scraggly. And he was like, "Yeah, I decided I'm just not going to get my hair cut after Trump got elected. It's my protest." It's just like, I don't think that's going to do it. But you know what is going to do it? Our guest, Christian Finnegan.
Well, the best part about the Armageddon soundtrack was that it had a track called Animal Crackers, where it was the scene where he's putting animal crackers in her underwear. Ben Affleck.
I have never seen Armageddon.
Well, let me tell you.
I haven't either.
I was really special.
Can we reschedule so I can watch come back on?
My new obsession is telling people about the animal crackers scene.
I do
really
remember
disgusting.
that being a part of the discourse. Yeah. That there was some weird animal cracker scene.
It's cute because he just makes a little animal cracker dance down her stomach. And you're like, oh, that's cute. And then he puts it in her underwear. And you're like, okay. Well, there it is.
It's the 90s. Shaming. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We were a Deep Impact family, personally.
It really divided the town.
Absolutely.
Preparing you.
It was the thinking man's Armageddon, really. When you think about it.
It was. Well, I'm so happy you're here.
I am beyond thrilled to be here.
I got a question just to start, just because we're always talking about movies on here. What's the movie you think you've seen the most, Christian? Not your favorite.
The best movie. The movie I've
Not
seen
the best. The one you've seen the most.
I mean, probably, I mean, it sounds corny to say, but just because The Godfather like airs every year, they do that Godfather marathon on AMC, and you know, I'm now a cord cutter. I don't have cable like you guys, but when I had cable, like I've probably seen The Godfather collectively more than other films. But of the movies that you wouldn't think someone would have seen a lot, Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg is a movie I've seen a massive number of times. It's you know, I was an 80s metal kid, and so like it's sort of very loosely based on the guy who took over for Judas Priest. You know, when Rob Halford left, there was like they basically found a dude from a cover band, and so that inspired the story of Rockstar. And it's very bad because a lot of it is about like the transition, like the climactic part of the movie is like when he realizes like where grunge becomes a thing, where it's like, I'm going to abandon this corny hair metal and I'm going to get like deep into the soul. And it's really wince inducing, but I watch it like a self cutter. Like I watch it to feel something.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the one with Tom Cruise?
President way too much, but that's because it was a TNT new classic.
Sure.
Yeah. No, sure.
What's the one with Tom Cruise?
The Tom Cruise, the one where there's a musical. It's about rock and roll, and he's showing a lot of skin. Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's some tourist shit.
That's
sure.
Broadway.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A jukebox musical, as they say. But yeah, I would say those are probably the ones. Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. I've seen a massive ton, which is great. I've seen broadcast news. That honestly is probably the answer.
Now, you know, that is my favorite movie.
It is.
People ask me, it is my favorite movie. When people ask me in a bar and they're like, "What's your?" and I'll be like, "It's 8.5." I'm smart. I've seen smart things.
Please give me a wedgie.
Yeah, I love Fellini. But now that I'm older and I'm being honest with myself, I know that movie back to front. That is my favorite.
Forwards.
It is my favorite. Certainly
I love
my
that
favorite
movie
comedy.
so much that I married the Holly Hunter character. I tell like people I have very much of the opinion that my wife is very much like the Holly Hunter character broadcast.
Well, we're in a great position to talk about this because my first job in New York was working for your wife, so I know.
So can you account?
Firsthand.
Can you verify that? Or
She was constantly unplugging the phone and weeping. That's what she was doing. she was like, "Please, no one call."
yeah, I always forget that. But yeah, you were a former employee.
That's right. And look at me now. She actually, I think that she is the reason like multiple people I know sold a book. Because we would work on her book. This place is closed now, so I'm allowed to talk about it. But we would work on her memoir we would steal some office hours to discuss the memoir. And then she was like telling me about, you know, how to inquire about, you know, how to query agents, etc. Yeah. She knew everything, and I think she helped Sarah Benincasa too. Said that it was like Cambria was the only reason she sold a book. So I jumped a lot of steps because I knew Cambria. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Come on, get to know Cambria, but
there's that one scene in broadcast news that I relate to so much, where it's after they leave the correspondence dinner because she has condoms in her purse or whatever, and she gets the call that Albert Brooks is like having a bad time because it went poorly, you know, and she's like, "Oh my God, we gotta go!" And William Hurt, he's just like, "Stop it! Like you can't just decide things are, you know, like." And he doesn't even have a better. And she's like, "Well, what do you want?" Like, well, what should we do? And he's like, "I don't know, just wait." Like that resonated with me so much that it's just like, no, we got to do this. I'm like, wait, why do you get to determine what we do? And she'll be like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know, but just I want to be consulted. I want a voice in this.
See, the one that I relate to the most is the guy saying, "I'm just absolutely wrong, and you're just absolutely right. It must be so nice to be right all the time." And she's like, "No, it's awful." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's me.
Totally.
I love it. Great movie. Everybody check it out.
It's a perfect movie. If you have not seen Broadcast News, that is one of those movies that I will recommend to anyone without reservation. And if you don't like it, then that is your deficiency.
That's right.
not the movies.
I got it
Should've
on
gone
Blu-ray
back.
up here. Just
Oh my
not to
God.
brag, yeah.
For real?
Yeah, just so I can
What's
contribute.
the special
It's
feature
over here.
on there? It's just,
Oh,
it's just
so
news
much.
from that week.
Yeah.
You really need to see like every rich contour of
Oh my
Albert
God, yeah.
Brooks's underarm sweat. Like
The 4K, absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
You can see the angst. Jack Nicholson's never
Now,
looked
because-
older.
Because we already know you very well, and we chatted before this, I want to go back to music, because I understand that your earliest obsession was that you were an MTV kid.
Yes.
That you were a big MTV. Did that just start the day you first turned it on?
You know,
Was there-
I think there were probably about 3 or 4 months, which when you're a kid is an eternity, that MTV existed, that I did not have cable growing up. And I just heard about it like it was some mythological. I didn't even fully understand what music videos were. I thought it was like the laser show that we went to at Stone Mountain. We saw The Devil Went Down to Georgia broadcast on the side of a mountain. Wow. I thought that's what a video must be.
That sounds great.
Yeah. My mom's from Georgia, so we went down and we saw all sorts of coded racist lasers, or racist coded lasers, I guess would be a better way to say. But anyway, I wish I could say it's because I had a real love for the art form, and no, the truth of the matter is that just MTV came out when I was like 9 years old, which is like right when you start kind of deciding what you're going to watch. Like when you're a kid, it's just kind of like mommy tells you what you're allowed to watch or whatever. But like, so, and I would come home and there would be a few hours in the after school before dinner time and just MTV would just be on. And I never really thought of myself as being particularly obsessed. I assumed everybody was. But as I got older, I realized like, oh, you don't remember the third single from the original ABC Lexicon of Love album? Like that didn't make an impact on you. So I was like a massive MTV, first 8 years of MTV guy. And then in 2001, I went on a VH1 game show before when I was still kind of an open mic dude, and I wasn't on TV in any capacity or ever, but I won a car on a show called Name That Video. Yeah, on a Toyota 4Runner. And
wow.
Keep it?
Yeah.
It probably still lasts, I imagine, right?
I mean, I sold it right back to. I didn't even have a driver's license at the time.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Still, yeah.
But it got me out of my debt. Like I was in like 25 grand of like credit card debt, and it like completely. Without exaggerating it, I consider it as having saved my life. Wow. That's how I feel.
Man, they should do that. Should be the documentary. As who?
Well, you joke, but there was a little bit of drama involved.
Yes.
Because I'll try to make this as concise as possible. In the final round, like I kind of whipped through the first 2 rounds. Like these 2 other people that I was competing against, nice people, but they embarrassed themselves. And so I kind of tore through the first 2 rounds. And then in the final round, it was like, you have to name 10 videos, song, and artist in under 60 seconds. And so everybody on the set before the final round was kind of energized, and because nobody had won the game show yet. It had been on for a few weeks or a couple months or whatever. And people have to win game shows every once in a while, or else it's bad. Right. And so there was like a lot of buzz, like, oh my God, we think you're going to do it. We think you're going to do it. And we went through. The thing starts, the clock starts ticking, and they show me the videos. And one of the videos they showed me was Dave Matthews Band, Crash Into Me. Mm-hmm. And I just instinctively said Crash. And she said correct, which is technically the name of the album, not the song. And then later they showed the AC/DC song, You Shook Me All Night Long, which is a song I was very familiar with because the metal band I was in at junior high used to perform that song.
That's right. That's right.
But I said You Shook Me instead of You Shook Me All Night Long. You Shook Me being a Led Zeppelin song. But again, the host, Karen Bryant, the lovely Karen Bryant, she said correct. And so afterwards, I win with like a few seconds left or whatever. And people are hooting and hollering, everybody's happy, and they're like, all right, just go hang out in this room, and then we're going to have you sign some paperwork, whatever. And so I call my dad, I call like all these people, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And then I notice that like almost an hour has gone by, and no one has come to talk to me yet. And so then the door opens, and like the producers all walk in, and they're just sullen and stone-faced. And they said, look, we have a problem. You technically said these 2 song titles wrong. Now, it's our fault because we said correct. You know, and it wouldn't. It's not as if you got them wrong that you lost. You'd be able to kind of keep guessing. And I'm 100% certain that I would have gotten them right. But they're like, we can't air this. Like, there's legal reasons that we can't do this. And so here's what we'd like to do. We'd like you to come back tomorrow.
Pickups.
And wear the same outfit. But to be fair, we have to give you 10 new songs and artists.
Right.
So you have to do the final round over again. And so I then had to go home. It was the middle of a snowstorm, and I had to like trudge from the, just through this. And I was living in an apartment at the time on 108th Street, and we had literal rats. Like, I'm not being hyperbolic. We had rats in our apartment, and they would come out at night, and you'd hear them chewing through the plaster, that was like the longest night of my life. Like laying in bed, being like, I can't. They're gonna fuck me. They're gonna fuck me. I'm gonna get fucked. And like I called my uncle, who's a lawyer. He's like, "Don't sign anything." He's like, "I signed so many things already." Like, you have no idea. And the only saving grace is, they wanted me to win, because it would have been like a massive headache, because I probably could have sued and gotten the car, whatever.
Right.
But so I do think that second day they made the videos a little easier.
But this is before you had YouTube to like, I'm going to go watch 1,000 videos.
Right.
Yeah.
But like
they believed in you.
Yes. But like the first day they had like Small Town by, and this is the kind of douchebag I am, that if you're of my age, you might remember that the song Small Town is not by John Cougar, and it is not by John Mellencamp. It is that brief interregnum when he was known as John Cougar Mellencamp. And so I was very proud of that. I didn't get any extra credit for that.
When you have to say the titles where you put like, you're like, oops, ... Like you have to say the whole thing. Or you have to
open
say
parentheses. I did it again. Close parentheses.
I did it again. Close
parentheses. I can't get no open parentheses.
Satisfaction. That'd be great.
But so the second day, like I definitely felt, and it was actually kind of dramatic. Like the final song that I had a hard time getting on both days was a Whitney Houston song. But with the one on the second day, I knew I had enough time to basically kind of just wait for the chorus. And so I actually won it with like 1 second left. So it was kind of dramatic, but it was mostly because I knew I could kind of wait. And it ended up being I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Oh, yeah. Feel the Heat.
The classic.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Feel the Heat.
Now, I feel like this is going to really upset some people. This is like quiz show. We're finding out that
blowing the roof off.
That it's all a lie.
Well, but you righted the wrong. So, I mean, there's no real...
Yeah, there is no scandal other
Mm-hmm.
than maybe them having gamified it or, rigged it slightly that second day, which it was always plausible deniability for.
Of course, until now. And then
but it's like the second day, it was like, sweet child of mine, sharp dressed man, are you kidding me? Don't insult me. Do not insult me with Waterfalls by TLC. Come on.
Now, are you somebody who, like, nowadays I'll hear people talk about how they'll go on, like, a Vivo run and kind of relive the glory years of music videos. Are you still rewatching videos? Do you have any joy in that at all in your life?
Only videos that I haven't, that are kind of ones that you saw when you were a kid that are kind of, it's interesting as you get older and you sort of, you discover what is added to the canon and what's not, in terms of like what young people think, what songs young people think were popular in that era. Are not necessarily the songs you remember as being popular, having grown up through it. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Fleetwood Mac is way bigger in the minds of your average Gen Z person than in my mind they ever were at the time. They seem to have grown in stature over the decades, whereas some bands and some songs, I remember as being always on MTV, like constantly, and they just disappear and they haven't made an impact. The song Africa by Toto has now become this ubiquitous song that every single person in the world knows. And of course it was popular then, but I don't think it was markedly popular than Rosanna, which was a much better song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's just, I know. I was actually warned by Dan before the podcast. Do not get in this podcast and start going off on your Toto rants.
No, we're trying to cut.
That's because I'm sorry, you're trying to cut what?
I was saying we're trying to cut the Toto fans loose. So anything you can say to get them off of our backs, please.
The Toto Brigade. They're BTS and Toto. Those are the two.
Well, I think this is a good way to talk about music for olds, which I would love for you to tell us about. But I was thinking that those bands become bigger just because tastes and trends change. So when there's all this like stupid Lumineers stuff coming out in the early aughts, and I love the Shins, and sometimes it's country and sometimes it's like sad breakup songs, and everybody hears that, and then they go back and they go, "Oh, have you heard this Fleetwood Mac song though?" And you go, "Wow, this is actually good. I didn't realize that this. I was listening to the soft derivative version of this." Not that those bands are bad, but I know
what you mean, though. It's
the trend.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that, and this New Music for Olds, which is the newsletter I've been writing for about 2.5 years, is basically just I am someone who still like goes through the new release section like every Friday and just like listens to stuff, and in so many ways I am constitutionally opposed to the 21st century. I don't mesh well with the value systems. I'm not saying that I'm right and they're wrong, but I'm saying in terms of my values do not align super well with the way people consume art, the way people appreciate it. But this newsletter has been my attempt to sort of embrace what music consumption is in the 21st century and what it's not. Like the days of going to the record store and buying an album and spending the next 6 weeks learning every nook and cranny of it and really obsessing over track listing and all that. That's not really, it's not, I mean, you can do it, but that's more of a fetish to me at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely.
I mean, the nice thing or the reality of music now is that I think of it as just like a never ending golden corral of just music. That is just this buffet that is available to you at any time. And you can get Chinese food and you can get Indian food and you can get tacos and you can get wontons, like all on the same plate. And so I am just kind of Pac-Manning my way through new music like all the time. And I was sort of doing that instinctually before I started the newsletter, but I just know so many people, so many of my contemporaries who I know have great taste in music. And I know that they think about music in an intelligent way, but they have kids, they have jobs. It's just they don't.
Right.
And it's so easy to get sucked into your sort of algorithmic pit where you're just listening to the same shit you listened to in college or, variations. And so the idea is just that like every couple weeks, like I read a lot of music blogs and stuff like that, but I know a lot of my peers do not. And so I like to think of myself as sort of a go-between for people who are not music obsessives, but would like to hear just the joy of having a new favorite song. It doesn't have to be, I'm not trying to, I have zero interest in trying to help anyone be a part of the discourse, in terms of what music is big or important or whatever. All I promise is it's new. It's new.
Right.
It's different. And so rather, you can have a new song that you like every week if you want to.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the spirit of the newsletter.
Now, as a fetishist, I have noticed, because I go to a vinyl club with some old people, we've talked about it before, and what I've noticed is that sometimes they'll put on a song that I know and a band that I know, but I don't know anything about them because I had this little period from like 1998 to about 2006 where I just downloaded everything illegally. So it was just a name on a screen. So like I knew, oh, there's a Jay-Z album coming out. I'll steal it. There's an Arcade Fire album coming out. I'll steal it. But I didn't know anything about like where they were from. I didn't know, like track listings and things. And now I hang out with these old people that were like, now the first track on this, the needle drop is incredible. And then, one time I saw them, it's all these guys that have seen the bands like 16 times and have seen all 3 lead singers or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that's why sometimes I feel a little bit fraudulent because some of that stuff I'm interested in, but I find a lot of that stuff. Embarrassing's too strong a word, but it's not. That's not what I'm into it for. That to me is more about like a fetish than it is about music. And like I'm not an audiophile. Like I'm a music fan, but I'm not an audiophile. Of course, I have good headphones and things like that. But I think it's because I live in New York City, so I don't have like a booming stereo system. I've never really had the option to. I have a record player, but I don't use it a ton. 90% of the music I listen to is just on headphones through my iPhone. And I'm not saying being an audiophile is a bad thing. It's just a distinct thing to me from being a music fan, if that makes sense.
Now, the new music you're listening to, my question is, does it often sound, basically are there instruments? Is it stuff that sounds like what you used to listen to? Is it, because there's that band, I forget their name, but they're basically doing Led Zeppelin now, right?
Lord, no. I don't want Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
I believe the name you're thinking of.
That is what I'm looking for.
They're awful. They're as bad as as it gets. They're right. They bring nothing.
Yeah.
At their best, they are a facsimile of the thing that you like.
Sure. Yeah.
At its best. And at its worst, it actually drags the thing you like down. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, maybe Led Zeppelin sucks. I had no idea.
Sure.
Maybe they suck.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I don't. I try my best. Of course, I have opinions about when people who I don't like coalesce around liking a certain band. It's difficult for me to not take it out on the band. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
I try to keep those things as separate as possible, but I'm human. And if I will never fully be able to take Slipknot seriously.
Right. Oh, who could?
Try as I might, but and a lot of it too is how old are you guys?
37.
Yeah, 38.
I'll say it. We look much older.
We're old.
Yeah.
I thought Dan was older just because of how long I've known you. I assumed.
Well, that's why I came into New York City in high school.
Can
I have a job?
But I like 8.5.
That's what
my younger brother was super into. He was 8 years younger than he's passed, but when he was 8 years younger than me, and all the music he was into, I have a hard time not writing off entirely.
Sure.
311 and Insane Clown Posse and Limp Bizkit. Like he was hardcore into all that stuff.
That is
and
rough.
So I can't hear that stuff with fresh ears and not just think of my brother being a dummy listening to it.
Man, I had an older brother, and so I had the flip where I was just such an annoying little brother where I was like, this band sucks. And the only one I was right about is the Red Hot Chili Peppers. But because he had One Hot Minute and he was always listening to it. And I was like, this is their worst
It's
one.
their worst album,
but when I look back, he had REM. He had like every REM. He had a ton of hip hop. And I just remember being like, this is annoying. Like, this sucks. And then like imitating it. And now I'm an adult and I'm like, man, that guy had some great taste.
Yeah, I mean,
when he was 14.
So much, when you're young, it's like so much of what music you like to is really about cultural identification and like clique identification as much as anything. Is like, where do I feel like I belong and who are my people? And then I think you get to an age, I'm 52, and I could give a fuck. Like I can listen to bands that I hated in junior high and high school and stuff and totally find enjoyment in it because now I'm just listening to it as music because it doesn't make me look any cooler to like or not like something at this point.
Well, what about pop? Were you ever, because that's what I was averse to, I was like, Elton John, what is this? And now,
Well, I mean, when I was
softer.
a kid, I absorbed all the sort of early MTV stuff again, just because, I listened to whatever was on MTV. And then as I got older and I got more into metal and stuff, like I remember once as at like a summer theater program, and some guy they were playing Elton John. It was like sad songs say so much, or one of those 80s Elton John songs. And I was making fun of it, and he's like, oh man, Elton John's great. And I was like, what are you kidding? Elton John? He's like, when you get older, you'll understand. And you know what? I got older and I understood. Yeah. But
that's what people told me about getting in the butts when I was younger. They were like, are you a boob guy or a butt guy? And I was like, I'm a boob guy. And they're like, oh, when you're older, you'll understand.
There is some retconning going on with the butt deification.
Yes.
Because I will say, when I grew up, I never heard anything about butts. I never heard anything. To me, that was another example of white people kind of glomming on to a black trend and then sort of almost absorbing it and making it their own.
Yeah.
I
remember the butt.
When I was in freshman year of high school, I went to a summer theater camp, and one of the dudes I was friends with is a black dude who lived in Brooklyn. And in the fall of that year, and he was kind of like, I didn't realize at the time he was a very nerdy black guy, but to me he was the coolest person ever, because when you're a white person, any black person who talks to you is great. But I went to visit his family, and I stayed at his house and for a couple days, and it was my first time going to New York by myself. And that night we were sitting in his living room with two of his friends. So it was like 3 black 15-year-olds and me, a white 15-year-old, whatever. And they're all talking about women. They're all talking about girls, obviously. And one of his friends just came and was like, she's got a big butt. She's got a big butt. And I remember just being like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Because in my mind, that was an insult. Like, oh my, so I'm so tired. He's like, no, she's got a big butt. And I was like, oh, that's too bad for you.
It's
probably
weird
some
how
dieting.
It changed that I noticed this, and this is such a, you know what? We can cut this. I always say that before I say anything on this podcast.
Before you say anything cancelable?
But no, not cancelable. Like, that when I would watch a movie on TV and it would say brief nudity, that often meant that you were only going to see a butt and there would be no boobs. And it put it in my mind that a butt wasn't a big deal.
It's
You're
right.
a butt.
On the hierarchy, absolutely. Sure. It's absolutely lower on the hierarchy.
And I have watched some of those movies since, and like suddenly a butt appears. I'm like, God damn! Just like something happened to my brain.
Sure.
I also
butts
think
are fun.
J-Lo was pivotal in the.
Yes.
That was a big deal. She was like the first celebrity for whom like having a big butt was like a marketing thing. Like that it was not that she was doing it on purpose, but that was part of what people celebrated.
Right.
Previously, I don't remember anyone, at least that got to like white suburban culture for whom having a large ass, at least since like the 1940s. Like I'm sure like Jane Mansfield and stuff like that. But
well, that's what the song is about. If you don't know, the Sir Mix-a-Lot song is about her.
It's
Jane Mansfield,
the golden age of Hollywood.
Not J-Lo. J-Lo.
Oh, it's about J-Lo?
It's about J-Lo on In Living Color. He saw her on In Living Color.
Oh, you're not joking. Like, you're serious.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It's about
J-Lo. I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I was doing a bit because we changed.
What I like about J-Lo is his honesty, though. He cannot lie.
Absolutely.
That's right. He can't keep it in.
100%.
Don't harbor. When everyone's like, men don't share their feelings enough, and now we're like, okay, we got it. It's butts.
If you knew how lame our feelings were, you would be fine with us not sharing.
It's two feelings. It's rage and horny.
Share our feeling.
There's hunger sometimes.
I am hungry often.
Yeah. Now, give me an example of a new band that Christian likes. Something that an old man might enjoy.
You my favorite. Well, I don't know if an old man might enjoy it ever, but my favorite album last year was this band Magdalena Bay, and they had an album called Imaginal Disc, and it's very it's one of the few songs that sounds current and also retro and also futuristic. Like it's a mix of sort of electronic and acoustic instruments. The sound palette, like there's just all sorts of crazy sounds, whether they're guitar sounds or keyboard, effects or whatever. I think that they it's funny because I didn't realize when I first got into them, but they're very dancey. It's much more of kind of like a electro funk kind of thing. But they had previously been in a prog rock band, and when you know that, you can kind of hear it because it's very adventurous and very ambitious in terms of what it's trying to accomplish, like much more than your average like top 40 song, which is probably why they'll never be huge, but they have like a nice big following. I saw them at I think Bowery Ballroom last year, and they're good. And then I still like a lot of like really heavy music as well. But I've become less and less genre. I'm much more malleable now in terms of like what stuff I like. That was the first band that kind of came to the top of my head. I'm a really huge fan of this band, the Beths, who are from New Zealand. They kind of do like power pop. Really,
I like that
band. Yeah, if you like the band Always, they're a little bit in that world.
Is that how you say it? There's 2 V's.
I know. I
say Always, and someone made fun of me.
I kind of lied over it, like Always.
Yeah, Always. That's how I introduce people on shows.
Sure.
It's Mark. Blah, blah, blah. Here he is.
I love it when you're like you're on the road or you're doing like a club that you don't do or whatever, and the host kind of goes into their standard, like, this guy's a great friend of mine, whatever, and then they get to your name, and it's very clear that they did not think this through.
Deer in headlights.
I love this guy, Christine Finnegan.
Fine again. That's what people say when they go to your show.
Yeah.
Fine
There's also,
again.
if you're like into like really like hard, angry, like punk hardcore stuff, there's this band called Jesus Piece that I really love. That's like, in my newsletter, I have for each song, and I don't overload. Usually it's like 3 or 4 songs every couple weeks, and then sometimes I'll have a playlist of just other older stuff that I like or whatever. But I have what I call a voltage scale, which is like between a 1 and 10, which is more just like an ease of listening. That 1 might be like a very quiet ambient thing, and 10 is like free jazz that will make you drive off the road if you and so I try to give people a bit of a heads up, like if you're the kind of person who's not into aggressive music, like avoid this. But yeah, Jesus Piece is a band I really love. I really love S.G. Goodman, who's kind of a neo-Americana, kind of neo-country Appalachian kind of thing. She's really excellent. Yeah, I could go on all day, as they say.
I like that though.
Well, now, are you still going to a lot of shows?
I do. I haven't been to as many in 2025, but I went to a lot in 2024. And I go to concerts by myself a lot, which a lot of people don't like doing. But my whole feeling is then I don't have to like worry if somebody's enjoying it.
Right.
Sure. I have to feel like I convinced someone. Finding a good concert buddy, that's a specific kind of relationship, I think, because you need somebody who you can just stand silently next to for an hour and it not be a big deal and not feel awkward. So I sometimes will end up doing stuff by myself because it's just too much of a pain to try to. Or it certainly doesn't stop me from going to a show. Let's put it that way.
Right.
But then Cambry, we go to shows together sometimes. We just last week, we saw Ghost. Have you ever heard of Ghost? They're like a kind of a satanic metal band. But like it's a bit of a shtick. It's a, they're from Sweden and they're huge. I mean, they play at Madison Square Garden, so it's like a massive band. But, the lead singer dresses as like a satanic bishop, with face paint, and all the songs are literally about how wonderful Satan is. And
I like the idea of calling him wonderful. What a wonderful guy.
It's definitely not like, oh my God, you're all going to burn. It's like, we love you, Satan. Thank you for being here. Like, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the term Lucifer actually means light bringer.
All right.
Oh, wow.
And so it's that kind of Satanism. It's like
interesting.
Reverent Satanism. Yes. But it's all silly and goofy. But I saw them. And then 2 weeks before that, we were up at Bethel Woods, which is where Woodstock. We have a little cabin up in Sullivan County, New York, and we went and saw Weird Al.
Oh yeah.
Wow! Was, yeah, which
That's a hell of a
was
show.
exactly what you think it's going to be, in a good way, and in a it was like we didn't stay for the encore. We had a good time, but we got our Weird Al fix.
Oh, there wasn't like he didn't bring Drake on.
Not to the if he did, it's a mystery to me.
Like that. Yeah, okay.
No, but he did. If you're wondering whether he put on the fat suit, he did indeed.
Yes, yeah, that's what I needed to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was curious about how that would play in 2025, but he went for it.
Good,
amazing,
good. Well, it's coming back. Fat shaming's coming back. It's all coming back. It's all happening. Yeah. Now, my question:
I'm a little.
If the podcast community has its way,
absolutely, yeah. Theo Vaughn, come on. As somebody. Concerts alone. So what's your strategy? Because to me, I don't go to a lot of concerts partially because I don't know what to do with my hands. And I feel like going to a concert alone is like the ultimate. It would just, I don't know what to do with my hands. So is there, you get a snack?
Because I don't drink anymore. So
okay, that was kind of,
especially awkward. Well, I will say smartphones have helped in that capacity. So like you can always just stare down and awkwardly scroll. Like that's honestly the part that's hard is between the opener and the headliner. Right. Is killing that 40 minutes or whatever. I usually will park myself by the soundboard. If you're ever at a concert by yourself and you want to sound the best, if you stand somewhere by the soundboard is a good idea. And also, I have this weird thing where I am always the guy that people like push through. Like in a crowd where I need to get from one side of the room to the other. I don't know what it is about me. People are like, we can walk in front of that guy or we can, and I don't know what that is, but it starts to drive me nuts. And then I'm not even enjoying the concert because, where somebody's trying to jockey in front of you and all you're thinking about is locking your shoulders so that they can't sort of push in front of you. And you're not even enjoying the show. You're just kind of like concentrating on the assholes by you. And so if you can stand with your back against the soundboard, then that's just one less area for people to sort of jostle you. It'd be annoying. I mean, I am an old man, so I don't like humans. I just want to. Yeah. Sure. I like being alone in public is what I've discovered about myself.
Right.
Like I like going to the movies alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm. Especially now. I actually enjoy going to the movies by myself in the sort of age of scrolling even more because it's like the one time where I can literally not touch my phone for a while, And but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now that we've talked enough about music,
yes,
I just right at the tail end here want to ask you about collaging because that is your other obsession. And if the two meet,
we didn't even get to collaging.
It just is I don't think anyone else who is a guest on this podcast is going to pick collaging, so we have to give it time. So where did that start, and what do you do with it?
Well, I've never had any actual art training. Other than just, junior high and high school art class or whatever. But I kind of got into it because I don't want to brag, guys, but I've done the Artist's Way. Mm-hmm. Oh, well. You guys are familiar with the Artist's Way. I did it 2 years ago. I was in an Artist's Way accountability group with like 7 or 8 other people, and we would get on like Zoom and
it sounds like a class action lawsuit.
Yeah. somebody needs to pay for this for what's happened to us.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and it was all LA people. Like I only knew one person who was a part of it, and it was semi-group therapy, for sort of people of a certain age trying to figure out, but if people don't know the Artist's Way, it's this 12-week program that you do through a book where you fondle rocks and think about your childhood and discover a sense of play. But there are all these exercises you do. And I had done it once, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So it was my second time going through it. And there's a 1 week in the program where you make a collage where you cut out, you're supposed to cut out a bunch of pictures, get like a poster board and just sort of make a collage that just feels like something to you. And I don't know, man. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy one of those things where you get into that sort of flow state and you're not really thinking about anything else. Like I never really wanted to check social media, and hours would go by. And then for Christmas, my wife got me like a 6-week collage class at the 92Y. And I took that and just, again, really loved it. And so I haven't honestly, I'm trying to make it more a part of my life right now. It was a big part of my life last year. And then over the fall and winter of this year, it kind of fell away because I bought a bunch of supplies and we have this little cabin upstate and we bought like a nice art table because my wife watercolors and does all sorts of stuff too. And so we can kind of sit on either side of it and just work on stuff. And it sounds dumb, but like I have one of those, scalpel looking, not an X-Acto, but that general principle. Mm-hmm. And just cutting out intricate pieces out of like magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. I find it just incredibly meditative, super, super engaging. And again, where it's like your brain is fully engaged, but it's not overwhelming. There's no time limit on it. There's no ticking clock. It's just this thing that I can fully absorb, that fully absorbs me. And I don't think I'm any good at it. Like, I don't think I have any talent for it, really. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'll ever do anything with any of the stuff I've done or show it in any capacity. I thought I'm hoping to go back on tour again in the next year or so. I thought like maybe I would try to make my own tour posters or something like that. Like that could
that'd be cool.
A fun use of it. But mostly, but part of me doesn't want to because the minute I start showing it to people is the minute it starts being something I have to measure.
Yeah, it's important to monetize all your hobbies and, and exploit them.
I don't even want to monetize it in terms of opinion. Like, I don't even want right. I don't even want opinion to enter into it. And so I'm trying to decide, like, because I do want to make it more a part of my life, but there's only so much time I can devote to something that is purely mental health related. So that's the goal. But yeah, I mean, I now have a vague sense of which sort of adhesives work with which sorts of paper and what
glue stick
matte medium is, and glue sticks. I mean, that's that's the easy stuff, but then you go to like gesso and matte medium, and there's all sorts of stuff.
Oh my god!
But yeah, that's sort of my new. I want to make that more and more a part of my life because it makes me happy. Like the same way Cambry is like. By the way, Cambry, you should have on because she has become obsessed with figure skating in the past 3 or 4 years.
Videos, yes.
And it has completely changed her life. And she comes home and she looks like she's floating. And I've always been jealous of people who had that thing that wasn't their profession, that they weren't being judged on. And all of mine up until this have involved sitting in front of the computer, which is also the place where I waste the most time. And so there's always those impetuses bumping up against each other. It's like I'm trying to get work done, but I also want to, I guess I have to look up this video to research my newsletter. And, look, now I'm in a YouTube K-hole for 3 hours.
Right.
And so, so that's why I want to continue to make collaging kind of more part of my daily or weekly diet.
Yeah, that's cool.
I did a little adult coloring booking, and it was Abby Jacobson has a adult coloring book, and one of the images was the UCB Theater, and then I was like, man, I wish I was getting booked more at the UCB Theater, and then it led to a existential crisis. But
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like I have had thus far, my comedy insecurities have not entered into the realm of collaging like at all in a glorious way. And so that's why it's like maybe I don't want to do anything comedy related with it because then it becomes part of the beast.
It was really, I chose a different image to color, and it was very peaceful. And I'm somebody who would think, who doesn't have would think all that stuff is dumb. And I had a great, it was quite pleasurable.
Instead, you picked a venue that you're above performing in, and that you picked like the Ha Comedy Club or something like that. Or,
absolutely. No, I did Young Ethel's, where our show is. Absolutely. Yeah. LOL. Well, I think you kind of already answered this, Christian, but I would ask if somebody was looking to get into new music. I mean, I guess you could just plug the newsletter again, but if there's
I could.
How you search your stuff out.
Well, and people always talk about music like, how do I find new music as if it's like hidden, when the truth is quite the opposite. Like it's more about like, how do I comb through just the mountains of music out there. And I generally, I mean, it sounds really dumb. Of course, I'd love if people signed up for my newsletter, newmusicforolds.substack.com. I will be moving it off the Substack soon, but I've just been too lazy to figure out how to do that. But it really doesn't have to be more complicated than just whether you use Apple Music or Spotify or Amazon Music or whatever. Just every Friday, like new releases get dropped, like just start skimming through stuff and just click play. Like, what are you losing to spend 30 seconds listening to a song? You know, I sometimes it'll be like, oh, that album cover looks cool, or it'll be, oh, this person used to be in a band I used to like, or but I think it's more just I do a lot when I'm walking my dogs. It's like an easy time to kind of just toggle through new stuff. I'll do it when I'm like laying in bed at night, but you know, the idea that there's this idea that there's like a needle in a haystack somewhere, and then the reality is that the haystack is actually full of needles. There's tons of needles in there, and you will get poked if you shove your hand there. There's my metaphor. But yeah, it's really not. I think again, if you're trying to be part of the discourse, that's a different conversation. If you're trying, like, there's this guy MJ Lenderman now who is kind of the belle of the ball. You know, which I think he's fine. It doesn't really strike me one way or the other as being particularly amazing, but I don't have a problem with people. People love him, but that's a different conversation. Like, who are people talking about right now? That's its own thing. That's about music. I have this sort of thing that I always try to keep in mind, that music is what happens between your ears, and everything else is culture. You know, you know, any conversations about like what's cool and what's not, and like what's current and what's, you know, that's really more about culture than it is about actual notes on a staff, you know. And so I think that, you know, there is always a ton of great new music if you just spend 15 minutes toggling through stuff and just kind of let the way you would browse at a flea market, you know, just treat music like that, you know, as just kind of like, or not even a flea market, like like some place where you can just try stuff on if you want to, you know, like if you're going to a store and you're just trying on pairs of pants, like just treat it like that. And if you find something great, if not, who cares? It was a fun way to spend an hour.
Yeah,
that's the way I think of it.
That's great.
Thank you to Christian Finnegan. What a hot piece of app, which is a new thing I'm thinking about throwing out there. Let me know how you feel about that. You can listen to or read Christian's Substack, newmusicforolds.substack.com. Dan, where can we find you on social media?
Well, the most important thing is you can find me at Dan Wilbur Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. The second most important thing is you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts right now, and I would love it if you rated it on there, on Spotify, anywhere else. And you can find us every single Wednesday at 7:30 in Park Slope at Young Ethel's. I have some other shows coming up, and you should check those out. I'm going to be at Grove 34 on August 7th. Doing Vance. So if you're interested in that, that's something new and exciting. And then I think the very next day, I am doing like a virtual show. So if you want to know about that, please follow me on
Living
social
Room
media. The Living Room.
Yeah, that's a
Gotta
fun
be
one.
Clean. No F words. No butts.
No butts. You can't show your butt on the Living Room show.
Zach, where can we find you?
I am at Zach Sims Comedy on TikTok. I am at also Zach Sims. I was just at the Living Room show. I think they have a download. You can get a history archive on that if you want to take a look at that. And I always post on my shows on the old Instagram. Last night, if you're listening to this, I was just in Staten Island, and good golly, Miss Molly, was it great. Also, I remembered my new thing. My obsession was early Sheryl Crow. Early Sheryl Crow. Sure. I've been listening to about 3 tracks. I've been listening to All I Want to Do. Still a good one. If It Makes You Happy, which is a great, you know, if it makes you happy, then why are you so sad? That's what we're all asking ourselves. And Soak Up the Sun, which is kind of basic shit. Right. But I think Sheryl Crow is a little underrated. So I'll just throw a little shout out.
Yeah. All I want to do, give it another listen and know that it is a found poem. It's found in a book, and it was found by another guy. It was like a letter someone was writing or something.
Well, that makes me like her less. But it did. She is one of those two where like she was like she wasn't like a session musician, but she was like backup. She was like in the industry for several years before she kind of broke out in her own way, which is always kind of fun.
She paid her dues.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm always like, pay your dues.
And then she got kicked to the curb. Nope. Lance Armstrong kicked his wife to the curb for her. And then I think also kicked her to the curb at another time.
Well, and he kicked that one ball.
Absolutely.
To the curb.
And we'll be back next week with our guest, Lance Armstrong. But until then, see ya, hobby holers!